Over the past 3 weeks in this committee, Madam Chair and members, we have heard powerful testimony about the impact that climate change is having in Minnesota. Mark Seeley told us the pace of change in our climate is completely unprecedented and that Minnesota is changing the fastest in the nation. Professor Frelich told us that by 2070, Minnesota could look like Kansas and that the boreal forest could be gone from our state. Dr. Surapanini noted that asthma, allergies, tick-borne diseases are all getting worse. Professor Gutnick told us that if winters are warmer, more pests will live, which will harm our crop yields. Minnesota is seeing real impacts from climate change now, and we know we must act urgently to confront this crisis. But our national leaders are failing to address climate change. We are the only country in the world to reject the landmark Paris Climate Agreement. It used to be us and Syria, and then Syria got its act together. So now it's just us and the world. And that makes it even more critical for states like Minnesota to lead. And we know we can be a leader because we've done it in the past. We enacted the 2007 Next Generation Energy Act under the signature of a Republican governor and 97% of the legislature. And we set a target of 25% renewable energy by 2025. And in 2007, that sounded really bold and potentially not even achievable. It was ambitious. But thanks to advances in clean energy technology, Minnesota met that goal last year, 7 years ahead of schedule. That's a good news story. Clean energy jobs in Minnesota are growing twice as fast as the economy as a whole. Minnesota is home to the #1 solar construction company and 2 of the top wind building companies in the country. This is all really good news. The bad news is that we're not moving fast enough, and we're still failing to meet our greenhouse gas targets. We heard from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency on our progress on the targets that were set out in our Next Generation Energy Act. Our first goal was 15% reduction below 2005 levels by 2015, and we only reduced 12%. Our furthest goal is an 88% reduction by 2050, and we're not on track to meet these goals either. We also are slipping behind some of the other states near us, some of our neighbors and states around the country in terms of pushing forward on a clean energy and creating clean energy jobs. Iowa, our neighbor to the south, is beating us in wind production, even though Minnesota has more wind potential. Last year, Minnesota didn't even make the top 20 states for solar jobs. So we need to reestablish our position as a national leader on clean energy. But as we have heard from our previous presenter, and as we know from other studies, 100% clean energy is achievable. 3 other states have already committed to 100% clean power. The Wisconsin and Colorado governors have both committed to 100% clean power. Our state's largest utility, Xcel Energy, became the first major utility in the country to commit itself to 100% clean energy, which is really notable. Cities in Minnesota are also leading the way. Rochester, St. Louis Park, and Minneapolis have all committed to transition to 100% clean energy by the early 2030s. Major companies as well, like Wells Fargo, General Motors, and Apple, have joined more than 150 major companies in pledging to move to 100% renewable energy. So all of these stakeholders know that 100% is achievable. 100% is also the cheapest long-term option for Minnesota. Wind is currently the cheapest form of electricity, period. Dr. Mahoney shared with this committee that the Lazard levelized cost of energy estimates, which is pretty wonky, but just means essentially the price. And that's, Lazard is an investment firm, so not a group that is going to be fudging the numbers. And they show that wind and solar are both cheaper than even natural gas. In fact, building new wind is cheaper than simply running a coal or natural gas plant that is already built. And it has the added benefit of a guaranteed cost, so no susceptibility to price swings. Right now, natural gas price is low, but it may not always be. And if we have a built-in cost for wind and solar, that has advantages to ratepayers. Solar, too, is cheaper than any new fossil fuel plants. So then the question is, well, why do we need a renewable energy standard? We've got clean energy that is cheaper than ever. And that's because business as usual and relying on markets is not going to get the job done in time. The crisis is urgent. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has said that we have 12 years to start taking meaningful action to reduce climate pollution. They've also said that every bit of warming matters, and limiting warming by even a half degree would have huge benefits. Business as usual also fails to consider the impacts of climate pollution on our health and the environment, so-called externalities, which aren't taken into account in normal markets. They don't calculate, for example, the estimated 2,000 early deaths in the Twin Cities annually from air pollution. They don't calculate that these health impacts are felt most by the poor and by people of color. They don't calculate the $40 million spent just last year on 10 natural disasters and 49 impacted counties across Minnesota. And to put that in perspective, that would pay for 650 additional teachers in our schools. If we're looking at business as usual and relying on markets, we're also not considering the broader economic benefits to Minnesota, which is something that the legislature should certainly take into account. Minnesota doesn't have fossil fuels. We don't produce natural gas, we don't produce petroleum, we don't produce coal. And we're sending $13 billion a year out of state to buy energy. If we invested that money in Minnesota to create Minnesota energy with our wind and solar resources, we can create a great number of jobs here in Minnesota, 50,000 jobs estimated by Mr. O'Connell's study, and grow some of the businesses that we know are succeeding here and helping our state become more competitive. So the bill that we're having our informational hearing on today sets out an achievable path towards 100% clean energy. The utilities in the state that are not Xcel will be required to reach 55% renewable energy by 2030, 80% renewable energy by 2035, and 100% carbon-free energy by 2050. Xcel's goals are 5% more aggressive for the renewable target and 5 years earlier for the carbon-free target. The carbon-free standard is new, and it is incorporated as the last step because the best research that I've seen shows us that we know how to get to 80% to 90% renewable energy affordably with current technology. The last 10 to 20%, we are still going to need new technological innovation, which is why the bill is technology neutral on reaching 100%. But we also have a generation and a half to get there, and if the last renewable energy standard is any indication, we very well could get there cheaper and faster than we know with our current knowledge about what technology is right now. The bill maintains the flexibility that's in the current renewable energy standard for the Public Utilities Commission if meeting our targets significantly affects energy costs or reliability for Minnesotans. And it also ensures that the Public Utilities Commission is implementing the standard in a way that benefits communities across the state. This includes considering the impact on transition communities that currently host fossil fuel generation, as well as ensuring that the transition creates good Minnesota jobs. I believe Minnesota has a once-in-a-generation opportunity to lead our nation's transition to clean energy. It's time to set the next energy vision for Minnesota and give the electric industry the certainty they need to plan for a least cost, reliable future that benefits all Minnesotans. Thank you very much. I'd be happy to take questions.
Representative Garofalo.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to the testifier. Thank you, Representative Long, and again, thank you for the treats. First question, are we going to have a fiscal note on this bill?
I have not requested one at this point.
And Madam Chair, the author, are you going to be requesting one?
Madam Chair, Representative Garofalo, I'd defer to conversations with the chair on whether one is needed, but if one is requested, I'd be happy to.
We will request one if we see a fiscal impact on the state or local governments.
Well, Madam Chair, we would find out if there was an impact on state government through the fiscal note. So if we don't have a fiscal note, how do we know that it doesn't cost anything?
And you expect that there's going to be a fiscal impact on state government?
Well, the way we do, Madam Chair, the way we do this is that we ask the experts to put together a fiscal note, and then they answer the question for us. I don't get to decide. You don't get to decide. So will there be a fiscal note requested?
We'll see. Okay.
Second question for the author of the bill is, different bills are introduced at different times for different reasons. And I just want to give you a chance. Is this a bill that you actually envision getting signed into law this year, or is this more aspirational about what you would hope would happen from a policy outcome?
Madam Chair, Representative Garofalo, I always introduce bills hoping that they get passed. My Senate author, Senator Frentz, is working hard to get it passed in the Senate. We'll see where we get at the end of the day. I know that any bill that is introduced is going to have changes before it is adopted. One of the reasons I asked that this be an informational hearing today is to make sure that we weren't locked into taking a final vote on this so that we could gather information and hear feedback on the bill's contents as it's currently drafted.
And Madam Chair, to the testifier, one of the drawbacks of the composition of this committee is that there are no members of the majority party from rural Minnesota. Can you explain to me how this bill separates how investor-owned utilities are treated versus cooperative utilities besides the lower percentage amount that is for non-Excel areas? Because obviously co-ops and IOUs are substantially different utilities and how they can respond to this sort of dramatic policy change. How do you, aside from the different percentage, how are you providing accommodations for member-owned utilities?
Madam Chair, Representative Garofalo, the bill maintains the same distinction for Excel and for all other utilities in the state that is currently under the renewable energy standard. I'll note that Great River Energy, which supplies a large amount of power to a number of our cooperatives in the state, has bold renewable energy goals. They've set a 50% renewable energy goal by 2030. But I know we have a lot of folks coming to testify from the municipals and co-ops this afternoon and this morning, and I'm looking forward to hearing their testimony and feedback on the bill.
Madam Chair, and to Representative Long, most recently we had a huge stressor to our energy system last week where Minnesotans were consuming huge amounts of energy. You combine that with the fact that 20% of the year the sun sets in Minnesota before 5 p.m., and that most wind turbines do not safely operate. In fact, they shut them down at about 10 degrees below Fahrenheit. Given that situation, as you envision this bill, if we had that weather event, how would we conceivably keep the lights on?
Madam Chair, Representative Garofalo, thank you for the question. It's an important one. I think in the reliability space, I often hear arguments that are made that tend to favor the energy source that is favored by the individual in general. I'm not suggesting you are. I'm just saying this is a broad statement. So I think reliability has a different meaning in different contexts. If you look at the 2014 polar vortex in the Northeast, there wound up being large impacts on coal and natural gas resources. There were coal piles that froze. There were tubes for boilers that froze as well. And so in that case, wind actually wound up taking up a lot of the slack that natural gas and coal were when those resources were coming offline. There are some impacts, as you noted, in terms of wind and very cold weather. And so I think that's something that we need to take a close look at. Part of it is, as a previous testifier mentioned, making sure that you have a broad area that is feeding into our system, and not just Minnesota, but resources from around the region. But one of the testifiers before our committee, Mark Ahlstrom from NextEra Resources, mentioned that there are also some real benefits to reliability when you make a transition. So for example, some of the new resources that are coming online in terms of demand management or looking at storage can provide enhanced reliability to the grid from our current system. And so engineers who are smarter than I believe that you could do a transition to full renewable energy and actually have a grid that is more reliable and more resilient than the grid that we have right now.
Madam Chair, my final question then for the author. My understanding is that the three most important goals of this legislation are to reduce pollution, lower costs, and to try to in-source energy creation in the state of Minnesota. So instead of exporting dollars, we're bringing them into the state of Minnesota. I assume that if I'm wrong about those three things, you'll correct me with your answer. But would utilities be able to meet this standard by purchasing RECs from other states?
Madam Chair, Representative Garofalo, that's a good question. I'm not sure if under the current version they're able to purchase RECs. I might defer to our researcher, Bob Eleff, on that question.
While our incredibly talented nonpartisan staff is looking this up, if I could just, I'll ask the author then the follow-up to that, and that is that in the event that a utility decides to purchase RECs, how does that accomplish the goal of either reducing pollution, lowering costs, or insourcing job create energy production into the state of Minnesota? Because no reasonable assessment of the purchasing of RECs could say that any one of those three things are true.
Madam Chair, Representative Garofalo, I think it might be less true for the third, but the first two, it would be true for. If you are purchasing RECs, you are getting credit for real renewable energy reductions, which is having an overall benefit for the environment. And for cost, I think we've talked a little bit about the cheaper cost in general of wind and solar resources. Your point is well taken on jobs. If we're going to be purchasing RECs from out of state, then that wouldn't be meeting the intent of my third goal, which is to produce as large a number of Minnesota jobs and clean energy as we can. And so that's, I think, a fair question.
And Madam Chair and Representative Long, but when you purchase a REC, you're not purchasing the power, you're just purchasing the rights to the power. So this power already exists, so you're not reducing pollution. When it comes to reducing costs, you're not reducing costs because, again, you are simply buying a piece of paper that says somewhere someone's producing renewable energy. And then we agree on the third point. So when it comes to the purchasing of RECs, it doesn't reduce pollution, it doesn't lower costs, in fact, it increases costs because all it is an adder on an existing power source, then it's definitely not in there. So given that fact, how would purchasing RECs be consistent with the goals of this bill?
Madam Chair, Representative Garofalo, you're only allowed to sell a REC to one person. So you're getting credit for the renewable energy that is being produced with that one sale. So that energy resource is being used to reduce pollution, and the REC is the way to track that. So I think I would disagree that the RECs aren't a way to reduce pollution. I take your broader point about out-of-state RECs, and I think that's something I'd be interested in looking into.
And Madam Chair and Representative Long, but when you purchase a REC, you are not using the power. When someone puts a utility-scale solar project up in southern Nevada, Nevada Energy consumes the power, they have extra RECs, they simply sell us a certificate saying, yeah, this is renewable energy we're consuming down here. Up in Minnesota, you're still using coal, you're still using natural gas or hydro, so there is no environmental benefit. But if you can tell me why I'm wrong, I'm happy to hear an answer to it.
Madam Chair, Representative Garofalo, my understanding is that to take your hypothetical for a Nevada utility, if they're selling the REC, the utility themselves can't use that REC to meet their own requirements. And so it's only being used once to meet one target, so it would be applied to the Minnesota target. You're right, you wouldn't get the clean air benefits of reducing pollution in Minnesota, but you would get the climate benefits of reducing carbon emissions overall.
If
So,
we
thank you,
could
Madam Chair.
have Mr. Eleff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In answer to Representative Garofalo's question, I'm looking at subdivision 4 of the statute, which isn't in your bill because it's not being changed by this bill. But what it says is, in lieu of generating or procuring energy directly to satisfy the eligible energy technology objective or standard of this section, an electric utility may utilize renewable energy credits allowed under the program to satisfy the objective or standard. Madam Chair, I also agree with Representative Garofalo when he said you can't heat a house on RECs. I believe this was put into the law to enable those utilities that weren't generating or procuring energy from eligible energy technologies to in effect meet this statute by paying extra to buy RECs. They still had to supply the energy, which cost them. They also had to buy RECs, which cost them. And I believe the thinking was that extra cost would enable them to invest in more eligible energy technologies so they wouldn't have to pay for RECs from outside.
Okay. With that, we're going to go to the next questioner, and I am noting the clock, members. We're going to finish the questions now in a few minutes, and we will have another opportunity this afternoon because we're reconvening at 4. So those of you who are on the list, will stay on the list and will be the first up when we come back at 4:30. Representative Mahoney.
I didn't ask for a question.
It's Representative Mahoney. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple of questions about the bill, not so much the energy or how you're getting it, but you're asking the PUC to take into consideration the creation of high-quality jobs in Minnesota paying wages that support families. Any definition to that? Because I have a member on my committee that thinks $20,000 is the Jobs Committee is a good, high-quality job. I really believe that you start a high-quality job somewhere above 50,000. So do you have any, and maybe that's something you need to think about or put more thought to how you do that. But if you have an answer now, that's fine.
Madam Chair, Representative Mahoney, that's a great observation. I think that it is not defined currently in the bill, and perhaps that's something we can look at working together on and seeing if we can add some clarity on.
And then, because I'm unlikely to come back for this evening's session, we're trying to be family-friendly around here. You're eliminating the waste-to-energy classification as renewable energy. Does that have any tax implications for that particular energy? For that particular energy.
Madam Chair, Representative Mahoney, I am not aware of tax implications that this would have. The reason that waste energy was removed is that simply that resource is not carbon-free. And when the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency came and presented to us, they noted that there is carbon pollution and emissions that come from waste energy resources. So if our goal is to be working towards meeting our 80% reductions that we've set into law by 2050, then that resource is not going to be as helpful as renewable energy and other carbon-free resources. This would not prohibit waste energy resources from operating. It simply would not allow them to get credit as renewable energy, and so they wouldn't be able to sell renewable energy credits, for example.
Madam Chair, there are a variety of waste-to-energy facilities. I've had 2 of them in my office saying that it would essentially kill that particular industry, and that's fine if that's what your intent is. But I work down in Dakota County and drive by Pine Bend landfill, and on occasion for my hobby, I have to drive all the way up to Princeton and drive up 169, and I don't know the name of that particular landfill. And in today's world, if you reasonably well read, China's not taking any more of our recycling unless it's absolutely pure, and they've set some standards. I don't know all the standards. That's going to create more of a problem for our landfills. And already, the one down by Pine Bend is about 8 stories high, maybe 9, and I'm told it goes the same down below. That's part of the consideration of what we're doing here. How do I want to say this? What we do in one committee affects, or in one hand, affects the other hand. And that's going to be problematic because that's a water issue. No matter how good of a lining you put into those things, they leak sooner or later. So somehow or another, your bill has to start looking at that particular piece of it also. Because more likely than not, they'll just shut those down and take that tonnage out to Pine Bend or the other one up north. So that's a consideration we need to look at when we're doing this, because it's changing one pollution for another. And that's a fear for me, because we need to address them both. So.
Madam Chair, Representative Mahoney, thanks for the question. The alternatives aren't only burning or disposing in the landfill. We don't have particularly high diversion rates in the state of Minnesota compared to a number of other states and localities on the front end, in particular in the organic space, which if you were diverting organics, you have significant carbon benefits for one, but are also able to produce usable materials in terms of, additives for farming or for gardening, et cetera. You're correct that the recycling market right now is in a tough space with China's decision, but recycling markets I think have fluctuated over the years and hopefully will come back. And I think your point's well taken. We should think about how we are managing our waste stream. And I know Representative Hornstein and others have pushed very hard for having increased diversion and increased resources coming in on the front end for recycling and composting. And that's personally what I would favor in terms of moving forward as a state on our waste management policies.
Question.
One more, that's,
About 15 years ago, I chaired a bioscience committee, and some of the best engineers in the land told me that they would have joint replacement material so you didn't have to do surgery. Because I'm looking at that as a construction worker, I've worn out a couple of joints here or there. And they said, 5 to 10 years max, 10 years max. 15 years later, not the same ones, but very similar with similar reputations say, 15 to 20 years away. So our engineers, we love them, we say great things about them, but they're very optimistic.
thank you. Thank you, Representative Long.